The crochet crowd is calling. Yarn tails so tall, inclusion for all. Inspire, create now. Light and joy in every stitch. Passion is the perfect glitch. Oh, Mikey, Mikey, what do you see? Yarn tales, community.
The Crochet Crowd. I'm your host. And welcome everybody to the Crochet Crowd live here on this beautiful Monday afternoon here in Nova Scotia. It's a little chilly in the house today, not air conditioning, it's just natural. And I am working on creating the diagram for the love letter to the United States blanket that I've done. I've already recorded the tutorial last week, and this is the same blanket but in a different color structure that was done on the tutorial. So what I need to do is I need to create the diagram to go with it. There's one part of this that I think is going to be confusing people, and so I want to get it charted and out so that it's available for the download. So that's something that we can do. So this started off like the sea glass blanket, but then I got bored because my ADHD kicked in, and I thought, well, I don't want to do something twice. I don't have to. And so I created a different stitching formulation, and to make it more interesting for myself, because I don't want to stitch something twice. So there we go. So we got Jennifer is joining us. So we have both of our YouTube and our Facebook audience here today. And so I'm going to be working away. You can chat amongst yourselves here on our community chat. And in the background, you probably hear the roosters going. So yeah, so I'm going to jump you to a different screen, and I can see what you're saying to me, and I'm going to be following the pattern that is on the screen. So currently our Journey members on YouTube have access to this already, and Marianne, that's been testing along with me, has basically submitted some more revisions over the weekend, so I just fixed those. And so I think she's done, but I want to make sure. So I've asked her again. So our Rit is joining us today, and I'm just going to be jumping the screen. So I'll be here on the side, and of course I'm back with the diagram making. So none of this stuff is AI. It's all my own brain, which is scary as hell. And yeah, so we're going to continue along. So I'm going to, everything is in sets of 4 rounds in order to make this go. And so I'm just going to put in just a line here so that I can highlight that, and we'll just make my way and start working on this stuff. So I don't know, do you hear the roosters? I don't know. So anyway, so I got learning crochet to do these diagrams when I was a kid. I know that for those that are joining me on a regular basis, you're tired of that story, but this is how I design. I do it during crochet format. So this is technically number 9. And so I'm going to just change the numbers. So this here was the starting and how the sea glass blanket was done. And so all I just did is take the existing diagram, and now we're going to alter it to match it to the love letter to the United States. So yeah, so we'll worry about all that stuff later. So the first color of crochet diagrams, for those that know this stuff, they know it's black and then it goes blue. And so we are going to just work our way throughout this whole thing. So I'm going to get rid of, save that. I'm always working on stuff behind the scenes. Okay, so we're going to be working with blue. Is our next thing. So this is a template that I've designed for myself that has everything already pre-drawn, and take me years to build that index, and so that's what I used. So we're going to begin to do our next step. So once I got to round number 10, I thought, oh my God, I'm bored already with the stitch. So I thought I have to create something new. And so the green box here is just highlighting what I need. And we determined on this one here that we need our still have that. I'm just going to go over here to the template. I need a 3-corner. So the corners on here, to prevent the twisting from actually happens, is done based on 3 chains in a corner instead of 2. So the green is just indicating the top of the first stitch for spacing purposes. So we're just going to place that in. And we'll get that stuff in. And I have to determine my stitch counts, and my stitch counts, let's take a look at the pattern here. I'm just going to put in my stitch counts here that you will not see in the future, but I got 4. So I got 4 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4 is 28 stitches. 28. And I'm just going to quickly look at the pattern. 28 is right. So it goes to 30 stitches in the next round. Okay. So this is a little too close to there. I'm just going to move it up a little bit. So I don't know exactly where it's sitting until I start doing the spacing. And if you're hearing any peeping sounds, that's actually, and it's quite loud, it's actually the turkeys. They're not too far from my office here. So in the next row, there's going to be 30 stitches. So I will put that here. Now there's pop-up screens that do pop up that you never see. This is the love letter blanket, yes. Okay, so we're going to, you don't see the pop-up screens that are popping right at the moment, but 30 minus 2 is 28. So I'm programming 28 steps in between. And Option Command B as in Bob, and there is the spacing for the stitching. And so we're going to move it out. And I don't know if you hear the quail too. The quails sound like an old Model T when you go to crack or crank the handle. So yeah, there's Daniel's little pet projects. Okay, and so what I'm just doing is that I'm just putting the spacing in first. Okay, and then we're going to aim this thing to here. And back over. So the bottom of the stitch points to where it needs to go. Do you hear the peeping? So this blanket actually turns out quite nice, to be honest with you. I'm not just tooting my own horn, it actually does. So we're now going to put these space. So if that was 28 that we had before, we're now going to do 26. So we're just going to program that first that you don't see on the screen. So there's going to only be 26 stitches. And Option Command B as in Bob, and there you go. And there's that row done. Okay. And that's number 12. And we have to spin that around the circle. So we only have to draw it once. And we'll spin that Oops, we don't want that. Okay, let's spin this around the access point. And it's 90-degree spin. Here we go. There's, okay, so that's number 12. And number 13 comes back here. Okay, get rid of these guys. So I think some people actually learn how to read these diagrams when they actually watch how it's been put together. Okay, so we need the 2s here, so these guys are black. So every other row is either black or blue. I don't know if for people that are colorblind actually can see the difference, but you can let me know if you are. I almost think it should be like a completely different color, but it's the standards of crochet. And you know what? There's some things I just don't control in life. So we have to put it in our corner so that we can get the spacing. So those green vertical lines are the first stitch after a corner, and that's what we're using that for. Okay, and I just want to look at the pattern again. It's 30 stitches, so there's going to be 32 stitches is in the next one. So it's going to be 32 stitches this time. So 32 minus 2 gives you 30. So there's going to be 32 steps between. So I'm programming that to do it. 30. Control Command B as in Bob. There's my stitches for there. And the first 2 have to be these guys here. So we're going to move these guys up. We're going to move these guys up. Okay. We're going to group these guys together. Group. We'll take that with us. And these guys go here. So my puppy dog yesterday ate one of my turkeys. So we had one that was called Wishbone. And anyway, he was only, he or she, I don't know the sex of it, but it was only, it was like half the size of the others. And anyway, it did not have a good outcome. So anyway, I was nursing the thing. I was holding it, and I was holding it for about 30 minutes. And anyway, puppy dog, my Great Pyrenees, snuck up on me and snatched my little bird. Anyway, Daddy was not a happy camper yesterday. But puppy dog is a livestock dog, so probably should be expected, but it was kind of ugh. But as soon as the birds get to the right size, then they're fine. With the dog, it's just not a good day yesterday for that. So Ola Joe is just here for checking in. Ola Joe is a YouTube host, in case you don't know that. Ola Joe, the crocheting sailor, if you ever want to find her online. She's got great content too. So I know I'm not the only person that does videos. I know, shocking. So there's other great hosts just like her out there. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to get him over. So we have Monica in the house today. Lauren, you're joining us. Lauren, we're going to be together really soon. So we have an Alaska crochet cruise coming up in just a few short weeks. The prep work to do a cruise is unbelievable. I wouldn't say it's unbelievable. It's a lot of work. I think people that can comprehend that. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. So I have an active schedule for that, in the sense of I usually just do a lot of stuff with the cruisers where I just like go shopping or whatever, stay in town. And so for that, I'm being a lot more active. So I've got 2 zip lining tours, and I got a big paddle boat on the Glaciers cruise. So it is a lot of work to put things together, but it's worth it. It's fun. I don't get out much. I know it's hard to believe that, but I don't. And so I find the crochet cruise gives me access to the public to see what their vibe is, what they're thinking about for the yarn, and what projects they're working on. So I learn the most when I'm on a cruise. So, and the best way to get to know me is to show up early. So we have what was called the Breakfast Morning Club. Lauren won't be there, but she's a night girl. But we get up at stupid early times in the morning, and but the closest people I know are usually from the Breakfast Club. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, programmed. Okay, shit, that didn't work out. Why? Well, that's gonna suck, because it's not the same shape. Oh, well, I guess I gotta move those up manually. Oh my God. Oh, that should not have happened. I'm missing stitches. I wondered. Huh. Oh, these guys are not here. Okay, that guy goes over here. What do you need to join one of your cruises? A sense of community. Just come out and play with us. You don't need like massive skills. It's not really about that. It's just about the social. And crochet is our commonality. And the yarn, we bring the yarn, we bring the activities. You can bring your own yarn if you want to. We have a little bit of homework. We have a lot of fun. We have theme parties. We have all of that. So we're going to be launching Crochet Cruise Hawaii in July for October 27, 2027. So we'll be doing that in July. So the Journey members and the Passport members on YouTube are first to allow for bookings. And then it'll go to a crochet. We have a list of crocheters that are interested. And so they'll be next up on the board. And we'll just continue along with that and work our way through getting our cruise booked. So we have a mega cruise that's booked for that. But they don't bring the damn paint. So Christy has been with us before. She is not to be trusted in public. She spilled paint on the floor of a ballroom because we did paint and sip, but she wasn't even drinking, but the paint would argue otherwise. But anyway, she got paint on the ballroom floor and they were like, oh my God. Well, you know what? You might meet somebody in Alaska to hang out with, Lauren. And well, Christy, you're the one bringing that up. I still have to visit you though. Yeah. Down either wherever you are, Texas or Puerto Rico. Still on my list for one day. So it's very pride centric here in Nova Scotia. It's Pride Month, so there's a lot of pride activities going on at the moment here locally. So Daniel and I, we participated in an event, 2 events over the weekend. And then there was a play. I've never been to a play before, so I went to a play. Didn't know what to expect. It was really quite good. And I feel like, I don't know if it's me or it's them. I just feel like a voyeur just sitting like within a couple rows of the stage and they're like talking to me specifically at the play, even though they're performing. But yeah, it's like they can actually see you. It's like, oh, creepy. So, but you don't want to be watching me because if the humor is too obvious, I don't laugh or smile. But I like shock and humor. So they one actor cracked a joke and I didn't react, and I felt he could see my face, and I've like felt so bad for him. He saw my resting bitch, I'm sure of it. So, and he was doing fine. It's just, oh my God, it's just like, yeah. So I said in the tutorial, this pattern is not supposed to work because of the spacing, and somehow it works, and I don't know why it does. It just does. Yeah. It's kind of funny every time Wendy was just giving information there. So Wendy's my assistant that's here. And it's kind of funny whenever I release a cruise, all these agents come out of the nowhere asking if they can book the next crochet cruise for our group, but we have a good agent already. And by the time we release the cruise, all the homework's already been done. So we've been working on Alaska for the last month or so. The biggest priority is to make sure that the ship has space for our group. They don't always have spaces available if there's other groups on board. So that's always the biggest hang up. Okay, so there's that road there. Get rid of that. Out. And let's spin this sucker. Oh, those didn't go with it. And let's spin those. Got it. Okay, so there was 32 there. The next one is going to be 34 stitches. And then the next row is back to single crochet row. So there's a single crochet row pretty much between everything that is going on in these things. And then we're back to blue for that. So every other row is either black or blue. This is just my guide for the height. And we're back to the 3 single crochet, or the 3 chains on the corners. These get harder to do in the size of like visualizing on the screen when they get really big, the diagrams. I might have to break it apart on the actual written pattern. Oops, need that green piece too. Okay, so if there's 34 stitches, 34 minus 2 is 32 stitches. So what is my favorite cruise line? We usually are on Celebrity, but we tried Virgin this year for the first time, and it was amazing. So I think I'm going to go on another Virgin cruise line, or another Virgin Voyages in the future. I don't know when, but it's on my list. It's on my bucket list to do it again. there's something about this. The ship doesn't really have a structure in the sense that everybody eats at the same time. And there was a lot of really positive about it that I really enjoyed. I didn't think cruising could be any different than what it is, and it ends up being really quite fun. The staff doesn't have to be in uniform. They're wearing name tags, so you can tell who they are, but the staff can have tattoos, colored hair. They can just be themselves, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. But it's not a ship that if people want more structured, it's not a ship for you, but it is for me. So, I think my biggest takeaway is that I could talk to anybody without the wall being up, and because everybody was a lot more relaxed. And so there was a huge difference. Even in the employees, it was something else. So could you just diagram one side? I could, but if you diagram just one side, you still have to turn the corners and show how the corners are turning. So it would still matter. So you might as well just copy and rotate it like how many times. Okay, so if there was 32, so we're going to take this stitch here, this stitch here, and now we'll blend it again. So there's now 30 stitches. And that is row number 14. So if you never joined me before, the reason why I do this is that we have community members globally that don't speak English. So by providing this detail here, they never have to read my instruction. They can just follow the diagram and make it work because the symbols are pretty much global. Not 100%, but they're pretty close. The only difference is that this is a single crochet. In certain countries, it could be an X instead of a plus sign, but everything else is pretty much standard. And our youngest community in the world is actually from Thailand. Okay, so that was run number 14. So if that was 10, 11, 12. So there is another group there. This is just indicating for me the differences. Oh. Oh, we're getting rid of that, aren't we? That's not part of that row. Let me just check my notes. Row number 15 is what? 15 we're changing. This is where my ADHD kicked in. Okay, so that's gone. And we are still doing only 2. And this is going to cause this to go to 38. Let me check my notes. So what my notes say 38 as well. So it's good. And we're going to do what is called as an X stitch. And the X So I do this stitch here. So I always cross with the second one being in behind. It's my stick, but some people prefer crossing in a different way. So that's why one symbol is grayed out and the other one's not. Okay, so that's pretty much okay. And then I need some double crochets here for my corners. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer crossing in the front or the back or neither? Some people don't even like the crisscrossing, but what do I know, right? Okay, so let's put the other side in. So 38 minus 2 is 36 stitches. I'm programming that. Okay, there's my stitches. If you can't do this stuff if you don't have the consistency of the stitch spacing. That's one of my biggest tips I can ever tell you with this stuff. Actually, that one's not there. So you can see how those single crochets are kind of like leaning and stuff like that. That's because the stitch spacing that I've determined works. So if you don't have consistency with your spacing, stuff like that would never, all the bottoms are pointing to the stitch underneath it automatically on its own because of my spacing. So yeah. So Panda doesn't know either thing. Yeah, so I like the crochet diagrams just so I draw everything by hand on a scrap piece of paper. I actually have something underneath my keyboard right now that I was working on. It's just all scribbly scratches. Okay, so we're going to, this is the crisscross. We're going to ungroup it. Okay, there's my crisscross. We'll regroup it back. Group. What was unique about this blanket is that everything is working on it in an even number. We're using, when you go around, it's always an odd number. And okay, so we're going to do, how many of those are there going to be? So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 28, 29, 30. So that means that if there's 30 divided by 2, there's 15. 15 stitches. And there is that row. I might be making this look simpler than it is. But a lot of practice over the years to make these things. Okay, that was row number 15. Does this diagram have a color scheme already in your brain? This is already done. I actually have this already. It's called the Love Letter to the United States. And yeah, so somebody's reminding me to save my work. My computer's automatically doing it, but I can force it to save. Yeah, so anyway, this is already done. The testers went through this without the diagram already. And yeah. Okay, so we're moving on to the next row. So every other row is essentially single crochet, or every other round. So I originally wasn't going to provide a diagram, but there's an area after these cross stitches that gets a little confusing. It's not always the easiest to write it out and make it make sense. Okay, so this is going to be up by, just going to go to 40 stitches. And let me just check my notes. Number 16 is 40 stitches. So 40 minus 2 is 38. So the green already counts as a stitch. That's how I work that out. So I need 40 stitches minus the 2 greens that are already there. And that's why there's always 2 subtracted out. Get rid of that guy out. So I use the new Red Heart Biddy Stripes in the color called Firework. That yarn is selling so fast. You know what it's reminding me of? You know when Yarnspirations came out with the cake format yarn? It's reminding me a lot of that. How when it came out, everybody and their brother had to have it. And I think the Firework is also doing the same thing. Just people just seem to really like the color and I really like it too. So I think the popularity of that yarn is really selling itself otherwise. So it comes out into the warehouse and then all of a sudden it's only out for a few hours and then it's gone again. Just it's selling that fast. Okay, so we're going to have to take out another 2. So there's going to be 36 stitches. we're going to get rid of that. So what I do is I normally design the whole thing, like, and then what I'll do is I'll break apart the design into sections, so it's easier to digest on the printouts. And we're going to rotate that. That's number 16. So I would know all about that yarn color. He keeps up with all the yarn stuff. No, I don't. No, I don't. Okay. So we're back here again. Oops. What I really more pay attention to is how many people are complaining about things. That's what I'm paying attention to. So that's the only reason why I know that the firework is selling so fast. So originally I was going to do the blanket mostly in all firework, but I felt like the color breakup would be better. Okay, this is going to go to 44 stitches. And I'll be right back in a second. Save my work. Daniel messaged me and said, your T is up here. I got the trucker trots. I'm an average. How long does it take to work up a diagram for the projects? This one here is pretty simple, but it could be several days when it's the round ones. And it depends, really. Now, this sheet that you're seeing on screen, I made myself, and that took years to build. So it really does depend on what we're working on. Okay. This one's a pretty easy repeating pattern. Okay, so 44 stitches minus 2 is 42 stitches. I will tell you though, my math has gotten much better in my head since doing diagram work. I used to not be able to add or subtract in my head very well. And so what you don't see is that on the keyboard, I'm pushing certain keys to make things magically happen. So I don't have to do a lot of menu clicking around. So I used to be a car designer way back when I left college. So I graduated college when I was 18. So I was in the auto industry, and I used a program, because I was in engineering, I used a program called AutoCAD. And so you could really speed your way through things if you use the short keys. And this is going back to the early 2000s. Sorry. Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah. And so I still continue that same practice. If there's a short key, I'll use it. Group. So I don't use a lot of the menu work unless I really have to. Even just to move that is a short key. So we have Cape Breton in the house. So is there anything out there that's how to Google to write this stuff? So this here is just Adobe Illustrator. Everything is just hand drawn by myself. We have Cape Breton in the house today from Nova Scotia. I'm from the Annapolis Valley, but I bet they know that. Okay. Just gotta look at my notes for a second. Okay, so I'm gonna have, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So I'm gonna have 18. Okay, I gotta group these. Group and group. Now, before I came online with you today, I already had some of this drawn, just for perspective on how much time has already been spent. And there's 18 of those cross stitches. I'm live on camera.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do you need anything?
No.
Did you get anything?
No.
You didn't?
What?
Did you get anything?
Oh, yeah, I just got some grasses.
Oh.
That like moist areas.
Moist area grasses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that was 44 stitches. The next one is 46 stitches. So you can make fire letters, says Panda. So yeah, that was Daniel. Here's my other half here. 46 stitches. They're gone. So it's the row after this one that I'm about to do, not this row, but the next is what's caused me to do a whole diagram work for this pattern. Because we went to a cross stitch, we have to come back to the wick. The other thing is called the wicker stitch. So we have to come back to the wicker stitch. And it actually took me quite a bit to figure how to get back to a wicker stitch, and I figured it out because, you know, because I'm a superhero. So are we reading the diagram clockwise or counterclockwise, or how do you know? Okay, so if there's 46 stitches minus 2, it's 44. So is anybody watching that reality series of Dallas Cowboys? I guess the new season just started up. I don't know how I feel about it. Just anybody got any thoughts on it? I think the women work pretty hard to get their roles. And probably strain their body doing it too. But I would think that the Dallas Cowboys, like so I've seen the second episode now. I would think that when you're sitting in the bleachers and you're getting rejected for training camp, it's got to be really rough. Like, gotta be. You're not watching that show. Yeah, it's just garbage TV in the sense where it doesn't motivate me to want to be a cheerleader, but I find it fascinating to how things happen behind the scenes. Ultimately, they have to sell a show, and so the people they choose have to match the profiling of the way they dance and stuff. Okay, so -2 on that. I don't know if you hear it. One of our roosters sounds like one of those rubber chickens. That one makes me giggle. Yeah, so anyway. A reality show I'm dying to rewatch or watch when it comes back out is Traders. I love Traders. I wanted to apply to be on Traders Canada, but I wasn't feeling well at the application, and I couldn't declare that I was healthy. I think I'd probably get booted off in the first episode, but I figured if Alan Carr can go on Traders, I can go on Traders. And he was hilarious. He actually made that last season hilarious. I don't know if they'll ever have a season just as good as that one, but he was hilarious. He voted somebody out just because they farted during one of the activities. Typical gay guy. Mikey, the chat is updating beautifully today on my Chrome, on my Windows laptop. It's awesome. So the repeat pattern is actually 20 rounds. So I got to get to round 27 in this thing. And I need all of that. And this means that it's only going to increase by 2, so it should be 48. Let me check my notes. 6, 17, 18, 19, 48. Yeah. It's a good, I like the diagram work because I can verify my stitch counts while I'm doing it. Okay, so 48 minus 2 is 46. Yeah, I think we have 4 to 5 roosters, but some of them are not of age yet. So it's 46. So I think we have 4 roosters that are now calling. The really one that's iconic is the little bantam, but the other larger breeds, they sound like air horns. Like, yeah. Look at that. The stitch count is almost close to that. Is this an American chart? It's a global chart. There's no such thing as an American chart. Crochet diagrams is a global language on its own. And that's puppy dog. So that's an extended single crochet, by the way, with the circle underneath it, if you didn't know that. What is the oblong in the middle of the first corner? This is extended. So this is a single crochet. This is an extended single crochet. So when you do an extended single crochet, you go in to the stitch, and when you yarn over, the first time you yarn over in regular single crochet, you just yarn over 2 and you're done. But in extended single crochet, you just yarn over, pull through 1 loop only, and then yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. So it makes the stitch taller. And a lot of people like me, we get confused on the half double crochets on corners. So the extended single crochet has pretty much the same height, but the top of the stitch is more identifiable and easier to see than a half double crochet on a corner. Okay. So if there's 48 stitches, just get my calculator out. 48 stitches divided by 4. So it's 12, and we already have 2 in there. So we have 10 wicker stitches. Something's not right. It's not 10. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 32 divided by 4 is 8. It's 8, not 10. Yeah, that's right. I just got to move the arrows a little bit. So the arrow is just pointing, it's going in between stitches. And we're going to expand that out. And ungroup it. So these wicker stitches do not really impact the row underneath it, because they're just working in between space work. And because of that, it allows for lots more flexibility if your stitch counts are going sideways, meaning that they're not working out. Okay, that was that row. You said I'm glad I got out of trucking too. Jesus, it was a terrible job. Terrible. Actually, it's just not for me. I wouldn't. It's a terrible job. Okay, I'll admit it. It's a terrible job. It was a tough job. I lost my way when I was trucking, in the sense that I lost who I was. You get to locations that just don't care about you as a person, and then you get there and it's like they treat you like garbage. And so you've driven all that way just to get treated like garbage on something that you don't even control. And I just felt like my whole life was just in ruins over it. One of the very first videos that ever went on YouTube for me was I was stuck in a Walmart, I believe in Indiana. And anyway, I got there half hour before their shipping was closed, and they rejected me. They said, they're not doing anything with me today. I'll have to wait till the morning. And I literally had to park in their lot and sleep overnight. And I missed all of the drop-offs the next day because of it. And I explained to them, like, I'm on a schedule, but it doesn't matter. You really don't matter as a person. And so it just ended my joy. And Home Depot was kind of the same way. And there's nothing you can do. Like, as a driver, you're just basically stuck. And the worst thing that was about being a driver was we would, like, truckers refer to the passenger cars as four-wheelers. And anyway, the four-wheelers would not grant me the space of stopping. And I'm an 80,000 pound truck, and you get cut off by a four-wheeler, and I have no stopping space. And there's just a lack of regard for safety. And I just got really paranoid over it. So I think people forget that real people are behind the wheels of a truck. This is going to be 50. Let me just check my notes. So retired, it's so true. Yeah. Did you feel like your life was just being sucked away? It was awful. Actually, I've told this story before. Anybody that knows me, that's been on with me, it was the Piggly Wiggly in Texas that finished me off. It was my wake-up call at the Piggly Wiggly. And for those unaware, it's a grocery store chain. So I was at the main warehouse, in one of their distribution warehouses, and it just finished me off. I'm like, and it made me, it's like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And so I get there and I have an appointment for like, I don't know, 8 a.m. or something. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, but my unload window is all day. So they're going to get to me when they have time. And you can't stay in your truck, and you had to wait in their waiting room, which was tons and tons of truckers sitting in there, and people were sicker than a dog, looking like crap, and just overweight, heavy smokers, just really rough people. And I thought to myself at that moment, I'm like, what am I doing here? And I thought, if I stay in this industry, I'm going to look like these people, just completely tired and worn out. And that was my wake-up call to do something else with my life. So so we would always deliver. So I was in the refrigeration area, so we were always like produce or something like that. Oops, wrong place. So it was always some kind of vegetable or something. And then the amount of hours that I waited up crossing the border was crazy. So as a driver, you never got paid to cross the border into the United States. And so the amount of hours, so 1 week I was like 16 hours waiting back and forth crossing the United States to the Canadian border, and you're not paid for that time, and you're just basically stuck. And I was like, God, this sucks. So that also helped make my decision to get out of the industry. Just the lack of care for the lifestyle of a trucker. Okay, that was 50. So Monica, the Piggly Wiggly, would finish anybody off. Yeah. Anyway. The store I didn't mind the most, though, was Lowe's. Lowe's were, I don't even know if Lowe's are still in Canada, but they did come to Canada eventually. But they were generally reasonable to work with. I found the employees a lot more friendlier than Home Depot and behind the scenes. So Snowpaws says our local Wegmans in Virginia brings in a lot of produce from Canada. That bothers me alone. You know what doesn't make sense for me, Snowpaws, is that because I told you I'm in refrigeration, the amount of apples that I would bring in from Washington State and Oregon was unbelievable. And yet here in Nova Scotia, we're like the apple capital. Well, not the apple capital, but I'm surrounded by apple orchards here. So it didn't make sense why it makes sense, but it didn't make sense why they're hauling all the way across the country to bring it back to Ontario when you could have it right here. So, so really the world is your breadbasket as far as where things are from. But the labor is cheaper in the United States than it is here. So I understand why they did that. What was wrong with Home Depot? I found the employees were just mean behind the scenes. I felt like I was mocked a lot because I'm Canadian and I have an accent. I got mocked a lot when I was in Home Depots for my enunciation of words. And so it just left a really bad taste in my mouth. we're back to the wicker stitch. So I'm going to go back. So because there's places that I never heard of before, so enunciating locations were a bit of a challenge. For example, I don't say Oregon right, nor do I say Wisconsin properly. So I get mocked for that. I was getting mocked for that when I was out in the road. I thought, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. And especially if you're driving and you're tired and stuff and you get mocked like that, it's just like, oh, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. No, I'm not saying all Home Depot is like that. I'm just saying my experience with Home Depot is it was not a good one. But what I will tell you though is that by trucking, I got to understand the way that people live. And so when I hear different states or different towns or cities, I have a perspective based on what I remember of passing through. And some things just make sense in the sense of a general attitude or a situation that people go through. So it's very much, what would you say that? That's very much of like a, like it's a regional issue. So Snowpaws is very great as retired. So as controversial as this sounds, I never saw poverty until I was a truck driver, until I was in the United States. I have never seen anything like it. The difference of the different cultures, of just the way people live. It was really eye-opening. And so I had a really big learning curve. I'm like, holy cow, because you only ever hear about it, you never see it. And unfortunately, with the trucking world, you go into areas of towns and cities that are not the best, and you get a perspective that things are not necessarily healthy for everybody. And I think there might be a difference because Canadians, we have our snow. You don't necessarily show that you're poor on the outside of your house, because if you leave it out in the snowstorms and whatever, where I think in the United States, especially in the warmer weather, you really get a glimpse of people's living conditions with their stuff and their houses and stuff. So it's really quite eye-opening. But for me, it makes me more empathy. It gives me more empathy knowing that. So there's always a silver lining. For those that are been with me on before. So when I was trucking it, I had actually delivered to Lowe's stores through the northern panhandle of Florida, and it was all house plants that are grown here in Ontario to Lowe's stores. And it was a week after Hurricane Katrina. Sorry, a week after Hurricane Katrina, and then there was another one. It was a Rita right behind it. So it was a week after Rita, I think. And anyway, I was arriving at stores without a roof on, and I'm like, why are we delivering flowers? Like, we should be delivering water and aid and stuff. So I had never seen anything like that before. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. Okay, we're gonna rotate this guy around. So that was 21. Let's check my notes. 52. Okay, next one up. So anybody see the movie Disclosure Day? I saw it. Oh my God, it was like, I can't believe 2.5 hours went by in the theater. I was on the edge of my seat, not in fear, just out of curiosity. So I don't worry about any of the corners until I'm done the diagram. If I start manipulating corners too early, it will throw out the sequence. But yes, it'll happen. And this is Adobe Illustrator, so everything's hand drawn by me. Okay, so there's 52. That means there's going to be 54 stitches. So these numbers that you see right here, they'll be taken out so you don't see them. I'm doing it for design purposes so I can count my stitches for the number of repeats that needs to happen. So 54 minus 52. I'm absolutely amazing. Oh my God. You know what I'm in the mood for, Lauren, when we get on the ship? I want a grasshopper martini. That's what I'm in the mood for. Does that sound like a plan? I think that might be a plan. I don't know, Wendy. I don't know if that's refreshing. Too many of those makes Mikey have panty remover. Yep. Okay, so 54. Yeah. One AI will be able to do all of this on its own and figure it out. Hopefully I'm retired by then. I have a feeling I won't be though. AI is learning so quickly. But I'm not going to worry about it. Just live my life. That was number 22. We're arriving on the 8th, but our airline got Lauren, our airline got really moved. We were going to be there in the afternoon, and now we're not there until really late. So Air Canada canceled a lot of flights because of the changes of Canadian travel going into the US. So our flights got really moved a lot. So we were going to be leaving here at 5:30 our time, and we have to go all the way to the West Coast from the East Coast. So we're not leaving here until late afternoon now. And I think by the time we get there, we're going to be exhausted because it'll be like well after midnight. I think 1 a.m. our time by the time we get there. So we'll be really tired. It sucks, yeah. What are you going to do, right? Nothing I can do. I'm still going to get there. I'll probably be up stupid early, though, knowing me, because there are a time zone difference between each other. But I was hoping to get there early and then kind of sleep, work off some of my jet lag. So I'll be jet lagged for the first few days. Which is not fun, but what are you going to do? So 56 minus 2 is 54. So martini breakfast. Yeah, yeah, for you, yeah, it would be. It'd already be the next day. So these fine adjustments that I'm doing, I don't know of any crochet diagram program that can do that. That's what the difference is big time. It's being able to adjust for spacing. I think was that the Cardinals? Oh, now you started the Roosters. Actually, is our website back up? I haven't checked my email yet. Do you have the video? Doing is that the extended double crochet? Isn't that a herringbone stitch? I could be wrong though. Just checking. Our website's still down. Okay. Is there an internet outage in the United States? Well, actually, our server is in England. Let me just check. So was I born in the United States? No, I'm Canadian. And Coffee Con is joining us today. Okay. Let's group these guys back together. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why is it doing that? group. These guys got to be one-piece unit. Enjoy. As much as you cannot read these charts, you know what? If you may not need to have to, like seriously. It's easier for me to teach from though. I actually read these charts when I'm looking away from the camera and I'm telling you what the instructions are. I'm actually reading this, not the words on the paper. Unless there is no chart. This is why I create this stuff. It's not really for you, it's for me. But I've already done the chart work, so I don't really need to do this, but there's this right here in the center is really confusing in the writing format. So I really wanted to echo that. Okay, so I still have a few more rows to do. Okay, 58 stitches. Let me check my notes. $58 on the instructions. So 58 minus 2 is 56 stitches. So how hot is it where I am? I don't know. I'm wearing a sweater. The door is open. You can hear the birds and stuff. It is currently 22 degrees. But it's much nicer in the sun. It's actually warmer outside than it is in the house. There's no air conditioning on. It's warmer outside. So 56 stitches. Yeah, so it's a nice day today. It's not too bad. It's a lot nicer in the sun though. Okay. Minus 2. It's 54 stitches. Okay. Okay. I have 3 more rounds left. So it actually ends on round 26, but I need to put the 27th in there just to highlight that it goes back. Okay, 58. So that goes to 60 stitches. Let's check my notes. 60, yep. So Wendy's already ready for the fall. Oh, sweetie. Let summer happen here, at least in Nova Scotia. We did have a lot of outdoor weather this weekend, but so 16 minus 2 is 58 stitches. I think I can tell some of you where you have nicer temperatures. I think as a Canadian, I love summer, and I love doing the Caribbean vacations, because in the heart of the winter, it feels like it's summer, and I like the feeling of the warmth on my face and stuff like that. So oops. Oh, I have no my lines. We were vacationing with a group of people once, and some of the people were actually everybody was from a place where there's naturally palm trees. And anyway, they were like, "Oh my God, this is too hot. You know, I could have stayed home. We could have saw this at home." And I'm like, "I'm from Canada," and I'm like, "I will take everything I can get right now, because when I go home, I will not be seeing palm trees, nor will I be in shorts, and I'll be back in a hat and toque and mittens in the middle of winter." So I was like, "Oh my God." But then the question I would have is that, um, would I give up, knowing that the warm weather using the south is related to bad weather of hurricanes and stuff? Would I want warmer weather to be able to put up with those conditions, or am I better off to stay where I am and not have the warmth all the time? That's the biggest question that I always have with myself. So what's your thought? have not done a pattern like this in a long time where the repeat is so big. Usually I try to do the repeats as 2 rows, 4, 6, or 8, but this is a 20 row repeat or 20 round repeat. I don't usually do stuff that big to prevent myself from doing these massive diagrams. Wanting me to sell my property in Tennessee. Don't live close to that. What's wrong with Tennessee? You guys are kind of like in the borderline, aren't you? Like weather-wise. That you guys get a lot of ice storms, so 1, 2, 12. Oh, it's doing that again. The name of the, well, it's all part of the same document. If I produce a pattern where the diagram is not if I produce a diagram and it's being a separate downloadable, then I will make sure that it's called by the same name. But these days, what I'm doing is I'm putting the diagram with the downloadable. So I'm not, it's just there. I don't know why it's doing that. I'll retry again. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, it worked that time. Okay, it was 25. So you only print out the diagram. Yeah. Okay, that was 25. 2 more. the single crochet rows are really easy. So 26 is the end of the repeat. Yeah, this license, I think $100 a month to have this thing. That's why I have no issues with charging for a diagram. On top of my time and creation, I don't have any issues with that at all. So this diagram will not be free. Okay, so 62 minus 6 minus 2. But the written instructions will be available on my website. But the crochet diagram will be as part of the downloadable. And using my blanket patterns, if something like this is $5 Canadian. And with the currency exchange with the US, I think it works out to be $4 or something like that. So I don't feel like that's too expensive. And then the stitch samplers that I do are normally $10 Canadian. And so that's about $8 American. So I have a Walmart mentality, more for less, so more value for less dollars. That's kind of what I stick to as a guideline. So 62 minus 2 is 60 minus 2, so 58 stitches. So yeah, so our YouTube membership also, the Journey Passport and the Cup of Tea for Mikey also pays for this as well. We don't have a lot of members, but I'm not so focused on the amount of membership. I'm just focused on making sure that the members get extra attention in the sense of they get to help me test if they want to. They have access to this pattern already, the written words. So a woman by the name of Marianne is currently testing it for me. So she steps forward. So she's been testing quite a bit lately for me. But there's several people that are testing. I think she's the only one that's done this one so far, though. So once I get her to get through it and I get this done, I can put it out into the world. So we used to have a private testing team, that, but I feel like the Journey members, there are so many different levels of crocheter that a simpler crocheter can sometimes find the errors better than a seasoned crocheter. And what I mean by that is that they can actually identify stuff that may be a potential problem because of their level. And so that's really highly beneficial for me. So the last testing that we did, one of the testers said that they don't read patterns really well. And so even though the testers had gone through it, they found several errors. And again, it comes to that lack of knowledge of knowing how to read the patterns, that she found stuff that I think seasoned crocheters just overlook so easily. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that's just the way it is. Because ultimately they're just checking my work. So I'm ultimately responsible. Okay, so this is 64. So our testing team was amazing, but I think there was nobody in the testing team that bothered me at all. But my rush for speed sometimes is too quick. And so I find there's usually somebody on the Journey membership that is around to test. So when you see these patterns get released and then people have a sample done the next day, their chances are they're a tester or a Journey member level. We should share a gentle reminder. Yeah, we could do that. Sounds like a plan. I have to stick within colors of a brand. So what I do is I check inventory first with Yardspirations before I start designing, just make sure that there's going to be enough yarn around, especially if it's using yarn that's a discontinued item that I don't realize, so I have to check. And it would not be my first time ever designing anything and the yarn is actually no longer being made. That's annoying as hell. So I have to check before I commit to time. I've had some really good surprises though. I used to think that Red Heart comfort yarn was really rough as hell. And turns out that I didn't realize they changed the formula of the yarn and the yarn was so much more softer, but I hadn't touched the brand in years because I remembered how it felt on my hands. And so sometimes our experiences with the yarn can change over time based on the formula, but they don't ever really announce that they do that. They just do it. Anyway, so it was a pleasant surprise. I find the Red Heart Comfort I find is softer than Red Heart Super Saver, and the balls are bigger too. And then Red Heart with Love is even softer than Red Heart Super Saver. Oh my God, it's almost 4 o'clock. Sin. Where is the dough going? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I got 12 of those. And this is the end. So I always keep the square on the file. And I'll keep that out of the way. Okay, done. I wondered. Get rid of that. Okay. $26 and $27. This is number 7 again, so it restarts all over at number 7. Color changes. Okay, so okay, so I am going to take a break, and I'm just going to reset my eyes. And I hope you all have a great afternoon, no matter where you are. And we'll see you again another time. Bye.